Girlhood studies has become more popular in probably about the past 10 years, and I think it's because scholars are recognizing that girlhood is such an important part of somebody's life, and so much of what you learn in girlhood you carry on into other parts of your life. It's certainly something that is worth studying. There's also a huge consumer impact when looking at girlhood as well, so I think some scholars are looking at this connection between consumerism and girlhood. I think that in some ways there is a longer period of girlhood that is now expected, but at the same time I also think that in a lot of ways girls are growing up much earlier than maybe they did 100 or 150 years ago. I also think a lack of protective umbrellas has made a big difference, in a lot of ways very negative for girls, so they're not necessarily involved in as many organizations that are specifically geared towards girls and maybe that foster intergenerational friendships between older girls and younger girls. Some people might argue that the onset of menstruation, first menstruation, signals the end of girlhood. I really think that it has anything to do with maybe when a girl is 5 or 6 years old, all the way up until maybe her late teens. I think that this idea of girlhood cannot be defined just by ages. I think it has a lot to do with experiences. So self-surveillance is the idea that you are constantly worried about how you appear to others. So if you're walking down the hallway and somebody looks at you and you interpret that look as maybe being negative, then maybe you run into the nearest restroom and check to make sure everything is how you would like it to be. I think that we see girls self-surveying with things like social media that really encourage looking at yourself and maybe taking 100 selfies a day to find 2 pictures that you really like to then put on social media in the hopes that you get a lot of likes. So I think that self-surveillance is something that girls have dealt with for a long time, but I think our technology and certainly this celebrity culture and consumer culture really makes girls focus on it a lot more.
This is what society wants you to think. It's all these big industrial companies that spend hours and hours and hours on making these products that they think you're going to make you feel more beautiful, but really it's just a security blanket. That's all it is a security blanket made by society to make girls feel better about themselves, because those makeup companies are the ones that are like, you know what?
You're not pretty without it.
You're not pretty without it, so we're going to make you feel like you need it. Really, you don't. It's just a security blanket.
It might be different depending on what part of the United States you are in. You might find some pockets where feminism is not seen as a dirty word and does not have negative connotations to it. But I think that overwhelmingly young women may still view feminism as something that is really negative and not necessarily something for them if they identify as feminine or maybe heterosexual, or if they believe in equality. I think a lot of people think that feminism is female dominance, and that's not what it's about. It is about equality. So unfortunately, I think it still has somewhat of a negative idea for a lot of people.
It's your choices, your mistakes, your decisions, your life. Don't let anybody else tell you what to do. Don't let anybody else, why are you doing that? Why are you doing this? So you just be who you are, because it is your life. You make your mistakes and you don't let anybody else influence you.
When more people are willing to call themselves feminists and feel comfortable standing up to people when they challenge that or have negative things to say, I think that that helps to dispel the negativity around this. I think that empowerment or confidence is going to be very different depending on who it is. I don't think that there is a one-size-fits-all idea of empowerment or confidence for teen girls. But I would think that maybe some general ideas would be that she is happy with how her body looks, which I think is unfortunately very, very difficult for girls and women to feel good about their bodies, because there is this machine that is built and makes money off of women and girls when they feel badly about their bodies. So to try to combat that, I think, is really difficult. Confidence could also be feeling safe in public. I think a lot of women and girls do not feel safe in public, whether it's being physically touched or having people verbally say things. I think that that can really maybe damage somebody's self-confidence, maybe hurt their self-esteem. Certainly seeing women in positions of power and women in male-dominated fields, I think can help contribute to confidence and empowerment. Girls feeling that they have options for their lives when they grow up, that they don't have to base their self-worth on how they look. I think all of those would be examples on how to build confidence and empowerment in girls.
Don't let society tell you who you have to be.